first off, how are you doing? You were dealing with cancer recently, and how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm still dealing with cancer. It's something that I will be dealing with for the next 10 years, they say. Um, but the science is so advanced, and the medicines and the medications and the treatments. And my body's responding really well to them, knock on wood. And so I'm doing well. I'm thriving.
How did you find out you had cancer?
I did a self exam. I could feel a little bit of throbbing in my breast. And I got in the shower and did a self exam and I found it. I had been doing my mammograms and I had been doing ultrasounds because I have dense breast tissue. And it was missed. It just was missed. And it started screaming at me when I'm here. I'm here, pay attention to me. And I listened and I found it.
Were you surprised, depressed?
I was devastated.
Oh, okay, that's a better. That's a good word.
I was devastated. Kind of that moment when you hear something so horrible and you kind of go deaf. Like I couldn't hear anything. I just was frozen with fear. I'm a mother of two girls, a single mother, 100% single mom. Not like they go to the dad on the weekends or 50-50. This is a 100% deal. We don't have family here anymore, or any family I have that's living doesn't live nearby. So it was horrifying because my youngest was only 12 at the time. So that's just, that just can't be.
How long have you been dealing with it?
I was diagnosed in October of 2023. So we're going on almost 2 years here,
Yeah.
year and a half.
Have you had any? Tell me, what was the worst part of the treatment?
Listen, the treatment, honestly, although it's horrible and it's painful, that's a physical pain. I'll do that all day long. The hardest part of it is just accepting that you have it. I think that the acceptance of it is the hardest part. And to stay in a positive place instead of constantly going to the negative of like what could be, what could happen. I think that for me that's the most difficult thing, is to stay on track of being positive. And the treatment, listen, we could go on and I could whine to you all day long about the fevers and the chills and the aches and the pains and the throbbing of your organs. And it just feels like you're being poisoned. But it's something that, unless you've gone through it, I'll spare you the horrible details, and you'll never really understand. It's like childbirth. Until you do it, you're never going to get it. So that was just more of a physical pain. The hair loss and all of that, I was fine with it. I just didn't care as long as it was helping me. And I think that it was easier for me to deal with all the chemo and the radiation and all of that because my body was responding to it. And I felt like, okay, we're being proactive, we're doing something. And when I stopped the chemo, sort of where I panicked, because it was like, okay, we've done what we can. They threw the hardest chemo they have out there at me, the strongest. And so that was sort of like, we're not doing anything. And that was hard.
Do you belong to any kind of a support group?
I do. There's a wonderful place, We Spark, in Sherman Oaks on Ventura. And I do a lot of advocacy. So I feel like that helps a lot. And just sharing stories with other survivors is really key.
I was going to ask you if you're cancer free now, but
It's dormant. It got into my lymphatic system. So that's where I'm at high risk for recurrence. But no signs of it right now. It's not giving me a hard time right now. And I'm on targeted therapy, a targeted treatment to keep it at bay. I'm on a number of hormone blockers. Mine was hormone positive. It was caused by estrogen. So I'm doing what I can. And then on the other side of that, I do everything I can nutritionally to help keep it at bay because, what people are not really realizing is the numbers are so high because of it's really hard to be healthy in America, if we're going to really be honest. It's a very hard country to be healthy in. And so things that you're putting in your body are things you're putting on your body, including your clothing, your products, your hair, shampoo. Everything is such a contributing factor. And I really kind of dove into that world to keep my sanity and to keep me feeling like I'm controlling the uncontrollables, or the controllables. And so I'm doing everything I can on that end, and that's it. At least I can say I gave it my all,
What have you learned about cancer patients that you might not have known before? Are they a resilient bunch? Are they tough? What have you learned?
I think it's a really mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. The one thing I've learned that seems to be common is that everybody's so accepting and warm and open, and they'll put their arms around you and share their stories. So that's been wonderful. What I do realize is a lot of, and I mostly interact with breast cancer patients, obviously. That's sort of my world. A lot of people just go along with the steps that they're given from their doctors without self-advocating, without looking and researching what that means. And I think that works for some because what you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Do you think they feel ill-equipped to absorb all this information?
I think some people, some people. I was just talking to the nurse at my surgeon's office, and she was asking me if I could put together some resources for women in the Hispanic community that come in. She says a lot of times they'll say they don't have access to the internet, or because of the language barrier, they just sort of throw their hands up and get exhausted, or they're waiting to be reached out to for the next steps instead of realizing that you have to advocate.
Take the step.
You have to, yes. So I'm in the process of doing that. I'm going to put together, sort of a leaflet, a little quick handbook of this is what you should do. This is where you can find it. Here's, the questions you should ask. And it's such a learning process, and you have to be open to it because so much information is flying at you. Right? There's so many theories and this, and there's so many rabbit holes you could go down, and you do go down. And, so I really try to stick to the scientifically backed supplements and things like that. I do some that aren't. Like I'm a little bit in the juju. I eat apricot seeds, which is not really legally sold here, but I eat them. They're full of arsenic. And I drink soursop tea because I've heard of villages that drink that and they don't have any cancer. So I do it all. I kind of feel like for me what works is doing all the things.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a positive attitude, which I think is very important. What would you tell other women?
First, you have to realize it doesn't have to be a death sentence. So if you can get past that part and realize that there's so much out there that you can do for yourself and to help yourself, and that the treatments do work, because a negative body and a sad body has a harder time healing. And I know that sounds crazy. It's like, well, you're dealt this, how are you supposed to be happy? And I do get sad and I do get down, and I have grace with myself. And I say, this is completely normal. It's completely normal to go to that deep, dark place. But you have to say, okay, that is an option. But you know what else is an option? Is beating this and living a fantastic life going forward. So I think getting your mind in the most positive place that you can, whatever that means for you. Some people it's church. For me, it's meditation. I do guided meditation. I see a shaman. I do all the things that I feel like bring me peace. And that's different for everybody, but you have to find that. So that's like the number one, is to get your head and your spirit.
You said you have 2 daughters? Mm-hmm. How old are they?
One is 27 and one is 13.
I never would have guessed. You don't look old enough to have a 27-year-old daughter.
I am.
Congratulations. Good for you. Have you had, you must have had conversations with them.
hardest conversations I've ever had to have in my life.
Really? How so?
Telling them that this was my diagnosis.
And did they handle it okay?
They did. They did. They handle it they process it very differently. They're two very different human beings. My youngest, when I told her, the look on her face broke my heart. My whole body shattered when I looked at her face. So I immediately said to her, no, 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 no. It's not a big deal. It's just something that I have to do a little bit of treatment and some surgery, and it's going to be gone, and we have nothing to worry about. So I kept her in that mind space. And then kind of as things went along, said, look, this kind of could happen. I might look like this, I had her help me shave my head, and we had fun. We like put on loud music and shaved my head. And, I said to her, I always wanted to know what it feels like to have a shaved head. Let's do it, and tried to make fun with it. The weekends after chemo that I was at my worst, I would make plans for her to not be in the house. And not to say that she hasn't seen some really bad moments, but I've really kind of tried to protect her, shield her more from it.
What is the most surprising thing you learned from having cancer?
That it would make me such a better version of myself. It's so strange, and I know I'm not the only one that says this. It's like this club I never wanted to be a part of, ever, but I don't think I would trade it. I don't think I would go back and do it any differently. I will never be the same person, ever, and for the better, like milestones for the better. And a lot of people talk about how you get rid of cancer and how you deal with cancer, and I'm really in a moment right now of like, how did you get cancer? And I can see it. I can see all the signs, and I can pinpoint it all. And I don't ever want to be that person again.
What's it like